Welcome to our series on biblical finances, honoring God with your wealth. I'm so glad you're here. Today I wanted to share some powerful insights about money from a biblical perspective. Now I know that money can be a sensitive topic, but trust me, when we look at it from the biblical perspective and what God says, it transforms into something so much more meaningful. So let's dive in. Have you ever wondered what the Bible really says about wealth? It's actually one of the most talked about topics in Scripture. Money isn't just a tool for living. It's actually a way for us to glorify God. So in this session, we're going to be exploring foundational truths about wealth. By the end, I hope that you see that money isn't necessarily just a source of stress, but it's a tool for fulfilling God's purpose. So let's start with something that Jesus said. And we go to Matthew 6:24. Now in my version, it says, "No one can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." Newer translations put in, you can't serve both God and money. And so what mammon is the Greek word for property, riches, earthly goods. And so the word money in the newer versions, that's not just money, it's earthly goods, it's property, it's rich. So let's think about that. Jesus isn't saying that having property, having wealth, having money is bad. He's saying that it can't be what controls us. And so when we lose sight of what we're supposed to be doing for God, in the name of money, in the name of wealth building, then the whole design gets messed up. When we allow money or the pursuit of money to become our master, it actually starts to pull us away from God. But on the other hand, when we see money as a tool, it's something that we could be using wisely, but also purposefully. So I'm going to turn to Psalm 24:1, and here's a truth that really shifts our perspective. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein. So what that means is that for every dollar we earn, for every resource that we have, it's all God's. It's all God's. And so we're just stewards temporarily of what He's been, or what He's given us. And so the question is not how much of this money should I be giving to God? The better question is, what does God want me to do with this money? That shift changes everything when you start to look at how does God want me to use His resources. That starts to eliminate some of the stress, and it starts to make it actually very exciting. Money can be used as an incredible tool for God's purpose. I mean, think about this. What charity runs off of hopes and dreams? Absolutely none. They all need financial resources to feed the hungry. Money helps build communities of faith, builds churches, builds schools in Africa, helps Scripture impact lives across the world, sends missionaries across seas down to the local food bank. It can bless your family and mine. It can bless others. So when we align how we use God's money with God's will, it becomes so much more than just currency. It becomes a way to make a difference in other people's lives. It becomes a way to glorify God. And I mean, it's amazing if you start to think about that. This is the first of 20 videos in this series. And so you might be thinking to yourself, okay, Ray, how do I put all this into practice? Well, over time, you will get better and better as Christ comes into our lives. He continues to produce more good within us. Start doing little things at a time. And the first thing you can do is simply pray. And you might be thinking to yourself, what am I going to be praying for? Well, you're going to be praying for wisdom. You're going to be praying for guidance and say, Lord, I know that I've used up a lot of these funds the way that you didn't want me to. I know personally I've blown it in bars and sinfulness of the world. And I mean, that's because that's just what happens. But when we say, okay, Lord, please help me, give me some insight into how you want me to use your resources, how I can use them for good, but also how can I get more clear on the purpose of what I'm supposed to be doing. So second, evaluate. We need to be thinking about, how are we spending this money? Are we using it for things that are glorifying God? Are we supporting organizations that are working against what's God's purpose? I know in my personal life, there is a store, I'm not going to name it, but they have made some serious moves away from Christ and diving deep into the sin of the world. And so even though they are very convenient, they are there and available, and it would make my life easier just to be able to go there and shop, make my wife's life easier. We have had to pull back and say, we cannot spend our money at this company when they are not aligning themselves with God. And three, you're going to just need to trust. If you haven't asked God for strength to trust into you, I ask that you ask that. Embrace where you're at. Rely on God's provision. It is especially important even when finances are so uncertain. You may be facing a very difficult time right now. It does not have to be the source of stress and division. It can be a tool for honoring God and to bless others. So I thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you walk away feeling encouraged and hopeful that you will be able to align your financial goals with God's purpose. So if this has resonated with you, remember this is part 1 of 20. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. I'd like to invite you to keep exploring and deep diving into this topic with me. Be sure to check out the next video in this series. Until then, God bless.